In this video, we're taking a look at Go Collect's hottest comics for the week of January 8th. Star Wars books continue to move the market. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle. And in this video, we're taking a look at Go Collect's hottest comics for the week of January 8th. Now, for those who don't know, Go Collect puts out a weekly article that analyzes the hottest selling comic books based on volume of sales and eBay sales data. So like I like to do on Mondays, let's take a look at the list and see what's trending in the market. But before I get into the books, if you guys could drop me a like or a comment or subscribe if you're enjoying the content, help support the channel, do one of those things, I would appreciate it. But let us get into the list here this week. And it's a very interesting list, very eclectic, a lot of different reasons for why these books are moving. But let us get into it right here. Of course, this article is written by Matt Tuck. I will put a link in the description if you guys would like to do further reading, but I will give you guys my analysis in this video here today. And coming in at the number 5 spot, of course, is the book you see right there on your screen, but this one is X-Men number 11, new to the list in the 99 spot. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is just sort of that classic Jim Lee cover with the X-Men team from that X-Men series that came out in the early 90s. And this book right here is just a classic cover buy, in my opinion. I don't actually believe that there's anything significant within context to the pages of the story, but this cover right here, to me, is one of the best representations of the X-Men animated show, that version of the team that we all came to kind of know and love and have nostalgia for. And I think one of the reasons why this book got hot recently is due to the fact that we got that announcement that X-Men 97 is going to be coming back onto Disney Plus, which caused a significant rise in sales for the X-Men Adventures book. But one thing to point out about that book is that it's actually not in continuity to Marvel comic books. Whereas this book right here, if you're someone out there who wanted to own a version of that animated X-Men team, this book right here might be the one for you, because this one actually is in context and continuity to the Marvel universe. And one of the reasons I think it's found its way onto Go Collect's list right here is that, this book is actually very approachable in terms of what its prices are. So as we dig into the numbers here, I'll actually show you fair market value for this thing in the 9.8 grade has it around $140, which to me for a 9.8 CGC slab seems like a very attainable number. 30-day moving average is around 181. So we know that this book has been kind of, heating up a little bit, again, due to probably the rumors of X-Men 97. Now there actually are a few 9.9s on the census. Fair market value for those was $1,600, but the 1-year moving average was $2,600. So who knows what it would actually sell for today. But regardless, this right here is a great sort of collector's book to have for the X-Men team. If you're a fan of the X-Men show from back in the day, if you're a fan of this version of the Jim Lee X-Men, this is one of the best covers that you can get your hands on, in my opinion. All right, let's go on now to the 4th hottest comic of the week. And the 4th hottest comic of the week is a very cool one. This is Star Wars Tales of the Jedi number 1, new to the list, sitting in the 56th spot. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is a book that came out in 1993 by Tom Veitch. And this would be the first issue that would sort of bring in the Knights of the Old Republic lore into Star Wars comic book canon. Now, for those who don't know, Knights of the Old Republic is one of the most badass video games there is in all of Star Wars video games. I believe there's actually 2 different versions of the game, and then there's an MMORPG version of the game, which is effectively is KOTOR number 3. One of the reasons that Matt points out that this book got hot recently is due to the fact that they're talking about remastering those games, so that's probably got, the Star Wars fandom very, very excited. But, as far as like the expanded universe is concerned with Star Wars, the Knights of the Old Republic era is one of the most beloved in Star Wars fandom. I mean, that's the era that features, Darth Revan, one of the characters that's been heavily speculated on to possibly come back into the Star Wars universe. People would love to see a trilogy of films taking place in that era. I mean, there's been talks of, Star Wars doing a High Republic era, but Knights of the Old Republic is the one that I think the fans would really, really love to see. So if that actually does come to fruition, a book like this would get extremely hot in the market. And as we dig into the numbers for this one, we'll see that there are 9.8 selling fair market value around the $140 range, 30-day moving average around the $176 range, but at last couple sales you can see $299, $299, so hitting that $300 marker. So this one is really interesting to think about, what would this book be selling for if in fact we got the Knights of the Old Republic, and this is a great book if you love that era. All right, let's go on now to the 3rd hottest comic of the week. And the 3rd hottest comic of the week is actually going to be Wonder Woman number 1, new to the list, sitting in the 39 spot. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the first issue of this volume of Wonder Woman that came out in 1987, written by George Perez. Now, for those who don't know, George Perez, legendary comic book creator, recently kind of came out with his family that he has been diagnosed with cancer. It is terminal, so my heart absolutely goes out to his family. George Perez, of course, has had a huge impact on the industry. He's written so many great comic books and stories over the years and touched us all as comic book collectors. And actually, he also announced that he was going to be doing his last CGC signing in sort of the wake of this news. So a lot of people want to get their George Perez books signed by him. This one right here, of course, is the first issue of the Wonder Woman series that he wrote. So that makes sense. A lot of people would perhaps want to pick up this book, maybe send it into CGC, get George Perez to sign the book, because obviously he's had a big impact on comic book collectors. And as we dig into the numbers for this one, we'll see that there are 9.8s selling fair market value around the $170 range, 30-day moving average 219, but you can see the last couple sales on this thing is actually sitting at that $326, $239 range. So definitely a book that is heated up, because I think people really, want to honor George in some kind of way. If they're a fan of Wonder Woman and they want to get, his signing on a book, it makes sense as to why they would want to be, getting their hands on this thing right away so that they can send it into the signing. So that's one of the reasons why, this book right here is on the list this week. A beautiful cover, an amazing storyteller, and, we wish the George Perez family all of the best. All right, let's go on now to the second hottest comic of the week. And the second hottest comic of the week is one that you guys definitely know. This is Darth Vader, number 3, up 32 spots, sitting in the 37 slot. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is a book that came out in 2015, written by Kieran Gillen, and of course features the first appearance of the character known as Dr. Aphra. Now, I actually made mention of this book in a video where I was talking about the Book of Boba Fett and the books that relate to that show. Of course, the first issue of this series, Star Wars Darth Vader number 1, features the first appearance of Black Chrysanthemum, who is the Wookiee bounty hunter that showed up in the episode last week. Got a lot of people excited about that book. Everybody was going after that thing, and that started the the speculation in the rumor mills. People thinking now that Dr. Aphra is going to be showing up possibly in the next episode, possibly at the end of the series. But whenever that is, that caused the market to want to jump on this book in a big way. So this book is definitely hot in the market. And as we dig into the numbers for this one, we'll see that there are 9.8s sitting fair market value around the $425 range. 30-day moving average says 407. But if we look at the last couple sales for this thing, we could see 554 sitting around that 500 offer accepted, 500 offer accepted. So this is one that definitely is super hot in the market right now. We can see some of the sales back in April of 2021 was hovering around that $600 range, and now we're kind of getting close up to that peak again. So it'll be interesting to think about if this book is going to set all new record highs once she shows up in the Boba Fett show. I think it's only a matter of time before that CGC 9.8 breaks that $600 mark. All right, let's go on now to the hottest comic of the week. And the hottest comic of the week is one that almost needs no introduction, but I'm going to do it anyways. And this one is Spawn, number 1, up 4 spots, sitting in the number 1 spot of all of the books on Go Collect. This is the number 1 transacted, selling, buying, bought book in all of the market. And of course, this is Spawn, number 1 from 1992, written by Todd McFarlane, and features the first appearance of the character known as Spawn. Now, this book is really interesting because, like I just said, it is the most moved book in the market. Whether people want to buy this thing, sell this thing, whatever the case may be, it is typically in the top 5 books always being sold. But right now, this week, it sits in the number 1 spot. And I think one of the reasons for that is, it's really been interesting to think about, Todd McFarlane and what he represents to comic book collecting. I feel like, his name is always, involved in pop culture in some kind of way and in different areas of entertainment. I mean, if we think about, in Vivi, the NFT world, the Todd McFarlane statues are the ones that, really move the market there. Or if we think about, in comic books, I mean, obviously Spawn has been, one of the longest running comic books in all of the comic book market. And then even in the movie sphere, there's been so many rumors and speculation that Todd McFarlane is going to be directing a Spawn film that's going to star Jamie Foxx. And I think coming off of the heels of Spider-Man and all the success and excitement that sat around around, that movie, but also Jamie Foxx and his portrayal of Electro has people excited about the possibility of, them bringing Spawn onto the silver screen in some kind of way. So it'll be interesting to think about, how that movie will be portrayed, how Todd McFarlane will do if he makes his directorial debut. I mean, will that launch a Spawn cinematic universe? Will that launch an Image cinematic universe? But regardless, I feel like Spawn #1 is a book that everyone should have in their collection. And I think people generally tend to agree with that. And that's one of the reasons why you see it so often bought and sold. And as we dig into the numbers for this one, we'll see that there are 9.9s actually on the census, around 70. Fair market value has those around the $6,000 range, 90-day moving average, 7,700. But if we look at the last sale for this one, there was a sale back in December of 2021, and you can see it sold for $9,995. So it would be really interesting to think about, is this going to be a book that sells for 5 figures at some point in the future once we get a movie? But if we look at the 9.8s, fair market value for those sits around the $240 range, 30-day moving average, 223. But you can also see that there are newsstand edition copies of this. That's why you see these spikes right here. Those ones have been sold as high as 1,610. So a lot of people love their newsstand copies. But again, whether you want to own a 9.9 or a 9.8 or a newsstand or whatever the case may be, this is a book that is always going to be hot in the market. It's always going to move, and it feels like a staple that everyone should have in their collection. Anyways, that is all I have for this video. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys have any of these books? What do you guys think about, the Star Wars universe? Are you guys specking on Star Wars stuff? Drop me a like, comment, subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and I will see you in the next video.